The first topic I'm going to talk about is that the trailer for Mufasa came out. Now, I didn't like the 2019 live action remake, mainly because it was a shot for shot remake of the original animated movie. Like it didn't do anything different with the story. And then another negative thing about that movie for me was it looked beautiful visually, but the problem with the animals looking so photorealistic is that like when they would talk or sing, it just you didn't get much expression from the characters. So everything just felt kind of flat. Now, I am excited for this movie based on the idea of the story. And I will say this trailer I thought was okay. Like it didn't wow me. I didn't think it was a bad trailer. Like visually it looks stunning like that like 2019 movie. But the two reasons why I'm excited for this movie is because it's telling a new original story. I like the idea of exploring Mufasa when he's younger and how he became king because it's a story we haven't seen before. And then the big thing for me is that I love the idea of his backstory being that he didn't grow up in a royal family, that he wasn't royalty, Mufasa. So I like the idea that he has a different upbringing, that he's an orphan than Simba, who grew up in a royalty family. I think there's something really interesting you could explore there with how Mufasa grew up to become king with him not growing up in a royalty family. But overall, I think the show was fine. Like it didn't really. I wasn't blown away by the trailer. Like you don't get much of the story. Now this is a teaser, so I'm assuming the second trailer is gonna have more of the story. Visually, it looks stunning, and I'm also excited to see some original new songs, obviously too. Since this is a original story, there's obviously gonna be original songs for this movie. But overall, it was a decent trailer. Not anything special, but not a terrible teaser either. The next thing I want to talk about is that in a Violent Nation put out a 30-second teaser. Now I remember hearing about this horror movie at some YouTube people talking about it that went to a festival and saw it, and I'll be honest, the teaser didn't really impress me that much. Like I thought the teaser was okay. Like the killer was creepy. I like the tone of it, and I love all different types of horror movies. You know, I love my slasher movies too. But overall, this 30-second teaser didn't do much to impress me. Like, it doesn't look bad. Yeah, it's not going to be end up at the top of my list. I kind of feel about this movie and about this how I feel about The Wasps, the movie that's being directed by Emma Sandler's daughter, where these two aren't at the top of my list. Like Trap is, like that's one of my most anticipated horror movies. They aren't that at top of the list like that movie for horror movies for me this year. But they do have my like I am interested in seeing them. They're just not like this teaser didn't like make me go, oh man, I can't wait to see that movie. It's one of those movies like The Wasps where I'm interested in it, but not at the top of my list. So overall, I thought it was a decent 30-second teaser. The next thing I want to talk about is that Jeff Bridges has been confirmed to be coming back to play Flynn in the new Tron movie, Tron Ares, the third movie. Now, let me say this: I'm not the biggest Tron person. Like, I think the first two are okay. Like I enjoyed the first two. I think the original Tron was visually stunning, technology wise. You know, like it was ahead of its time when it came out. The visuals for that time period was very looked fantastic. And Tron Legacy looks is a stunning movie to look at too. The story and characters don't really stick with me with those two movies. Like I think the best character in those two movies was actually Olivia Wilde's character, and I was interested to see where the story could have gone with that whole character with Flynn's son at the end of Tron Legacy. She to me was my favorite character actually in the Tron movies, and I would like to have seen where you could have gone with that story. When it comes to like putting Jeff Bezos bad as Flynn, that doesn't really do anything for me as someone who's not really attached to this franchise. And maybe this will be the Tron movie that will make me a fan. Like I'm hoping it will be. But for me, it doesn't really make me any more excited for this movie. And I also think it's a little weird to bring him back because I thought his character died at the end of Legacy. At least I assumed that's what it meant when he absorbed his evil self and blew up. I thought that meant he actually died at the end of that movie. So I'm curious to see how they bring his character back. And I'm also wondering if he's coming back, are we going to see Flynn's son and Olivia Wilde's character again? Like, I know I've heard nothing about them being in the movie, but I'm really curious if you're going to bring him back. Are we going to see those two characters again? Now, I can definitely understand them finding some way to bring him back after he got killed off at the end of the second movie because he pretty much is the main character of the franchise. So But oh man, the news of him coming back doesn't really excite me for this movie. It's not a movie I'm like really excited for, since I'm not really attached to Tron movies. The last thing I want to talk about is that Kraven has been pushed back. So it's coming out at the end of the year. I think originally it was coming out before Venom 3, and now it's coming out after Venom 3. And I'll be honest, I don't have much faith in this movie. Like, I'm not really excited for this. Like, this and Man of Web were my two comic movies this year I just don't have any excitement for. And I love the Kraven character. I think he's a great villain, but I would prefer to see him in a Spider-Man movie as a villain. Like, trying to make him into an anti-hero, I don't know if I really felt like that idea. And the trailer of Kraven didn't really impress me personally. Like, there's some stuff I have concerns about this movie with some of the stuff in the trailer. Like, I'm glad they're going all rated, but overall, the trailer really didn't do anything for me. And overall, I just don't think people are excited for this movie. I think this is also a bad sign because this movie has been pushed back a couple of times, and it just feels like Sony doesn't have much faith in this movie. I mean, maybe they're pointing out after Venom 3 because maybe they have more faith in Venom 3, and if that gets good word of mouth, maybe that'll get people excited for this Sony verse without Spider Man again. But after Morbius and Man of Web, I don't really trust Sony with these characters. And I just overall, I think this is a sign. This is showing how much confidence in this movie. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? I'm hoping Craven ends up being good. But I will admit, I wasn't excited for this movie before, and it's starting to feel like Sony maybe doesn't have too much confidence in this movie. So that's all the movie topics today. Until next time, movie fans.